For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber. Instant analysis of the Monday practice. That's really a Tuesday practice. Of course, USC plays on Friday, so the whole schedule gets moved up. But it was a slightly different practice than what we're used to seeing for USC's first practice of the week. No pads today, shoulder pads only, excuse me. And so it's a little different. Helton said that they're not going to go full pads this week just because they want to make sure the guys are fresh for Friday.
Yeah, so it's even more confusing. It's a Tuesday practice, but not full pads.
Yeah.
And he talked about this is the week where the coaches are sleeping on their couches, and you don't have a lot of time if you got injuries and things like that. You don't want to make them any worse. Ronald Jones came back, and he did get tackled a time or two out there. So it wasn't that they were playing patty cake, but it'll be interesting to see. One wonders if the lack of physicality in practice the last couple of weeks has hurt them in terms of the start against Texas and against Cal. It's not going to happen again this week. So we'll see, because the big emphasis, though, is you got to start fast against Washington State is 90-18 against opponents in the first half. So they know they've really got to get a fast start. How this plays into that, I don't think we know.
Mm-hmm. We did see some faces that weren't practicing. Oops, there's field hockey, so if we get hit, that's what happens. Yeah. There were some faces that weren't practicing today. Deontay Burnett did not practice. He had his shoulder. He had ice on his left shoulder. We also didn't see Stephen Mitchell, even though he did rehab some. Bayless Jones was out, as well as, who am I forgetting? August Cedric Ware. That's who I'm forgetting.
Oh, yeah, and then Jody Lewis was out to start and then had his pads brought, but we didn't see him really make any plays.
Yeah.
We saw Stephen Mitchell running sprints across the end zone. Looked like he was running pretty well. Michael Pittman was out there, still doesn't look 100%. But Tyler Vaughns looked like 200% today. I mean, he could not have, on a day when you don't have Deontay and Stephen and some of those other guys, he was sensational. I mean, that doesn't even describe how well he played today. I mean, it was ridiculous.
We got to talk to the offensive coaches. Both T and Tyson said, Sam Darnold's interceptions, those are just proving that he's human. Not necessarily that there's something wrong, something off. He's just a human, and you're going to have interceptions. And sometimes guys will make plays on the ball. Yeah,
I mean, they are defending him differently. They are aware of how good he is, and you can't go into a game without something special for Sam. The question is, on the play against Cal, they got the ball on the 30-yard line. He breaks free, rolls to the right, has a clear look at Deontay in the end zone. Deontay's man falls down. Deontay's open by a good 5 yards, and the pass misses him by a good 5 yards. We got used to the fact that last year there wouldn't even been a question. That's a touchdown, mark it down, all of that. This year, not even close. And that's where they say, well, he just proves Sam is human. We just expect him to make all those. It's still not a completely good answer in terms of why that ball ended up where it did. He doesn't look exactly the same to me. Something is, and I know we have this vivid picture of Sam, in the Rose Bowl, and you can't almost, play any better than that. We're just not seeing it. I think Sam himself admitted he's probably putting too much pressure on himself. He's probably trying to make plays that maybe he shouldn't, is probably forcing the ball. And some of that is teams are so determined to take him out of the game, not let him beat them, and he's working with younger wide receivers. But he kind of admitted he's trying too hard, needs to let the game come to him instead of trying to make a play. And I don't think that's all that it is, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. We also got to press a little bit further on the play calls that happened against Cal. We asked about that 4th and 1, whether Sam Darnold was able to audible out of it, and they said no, that was a call. He had to go with that play.
Yeah, I mean, they give him, because I talked to Tyson, and they give him, it seemed like he was able to change the plays last year, and that seemed to work out pretty well. Tyson said, yeah, no, he's still allowed to do that as much, and what he does is he audibles to the RPOs, run pass option. Problem is, when you get 4th and 1, and that you can't audible down on the goal, you can't audible to the run pass option. Maybe you should. looking at that play, I think you should have audible to anything, you know. So again, not a great answer. I mean, you know, the question you want to ask is, why the heck did you call that play rather than, you know, he couldn't audible out of it. I mean, that's one where you'd want him to come up the line of scrimmage and go, timeout, and go back into the huddle and say, we're not running that play. What else you got? I mean, I don't know if they had a timeout when that play happened. I think they did. That might have been worth a timeout to go back and say, let's think this over, guys.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting. We've heard this twice from T since Cal. He said it on Saturday and he said it again today. He said the teams are preparing differently for USC. He said that some things they're seeing from defenses they haven't even seen on film. He said that it almost is like teams are like, it's Sam Darnold, it's USC. Let's just throw something new at them just because we can. I mean, people. I posted that quote on Twitter. People were kind of mad at T. Why is he saying that? I mean, how much of that is true, do you think, or how much of this is the preparation of play calling versus what they're actually seeing from the defense?
I think it's. I think what we saw from Texas and Cal, it's pretty true. They're basically saying we're just going to, you know, come and throw everything at them. We're going to, you know, blitz everybody. We're going to do this and we're going to drop everybody back, and we're going to take chances because otherwise we're going to get beat. So we don't have anything to lose. Let's just take chances and let's do stuff that's crazy. USC probably needs to be able to take advantage of people. There are reasons people don't do that every game because it's crazy. I mean, it's taking the kinds of chances that if it doesn't work, they score on you. USC has to, if somebody's going to take that kind of a chance, has to say, we're going to score on you. That's crazy. We're not going to let you come at us with, you know, 8 or 9 guys and run it right at you. We're going to do something else because we don't have that many guys in the line of scrimmage. USC still hasn't been nimble enough, I guess would be a word, when they come to the line of scrimmage to be able to say, okay, this is what they're going to do, this is what we're going to do. And maybe that will come, you know, I still think they're having trouble believing teams are willing to sell out the way they are to defend against Sam. They just are. But I think it's pretty obvious now. You know, you're liable to see something. You know, it ought to be about you. It shouldn't be just, well, we'll let them do what they're going to do and we'll counterpunch. I think you just got to get ready and go to your strengths and make them stop you. And if they take some big chances, really, really penalize them, punish them, score on them, and get them out of that.
USC played crowd music during portions of practice. They're preparing, obviously, to go up to a team, a hostile environment. How much of this game is a worry for you as far as injuries, nationally televised, it's the only game, and just going away for the second time and a quick turnaround? Does that worry you at all for the Trojans?
You know what? I personally do not use the word worry. I just think you can't use the word worry. I don't think you can play well if you're worried. I think you gotta. I don't think you can do anything well if you're worried. So I think you just acknowledge the fact that, you know, they're going to have all day to get ready for that game. The students, the fans. I mean, they're going to be all juiced up. I still remember Pete Carroll went in there one year, and USC had a reputation of not playing well in bad weather. And one of the early Pete Carroll teams, Reggie Bush, was on the team. And in the hour before kickoff, it was a night game later in the year, hour before kickoff, it rained, snowed, sleeted, and hailed. The hail was bouncing off the players' helmets. Wow. But Pete Carroll was like this, you know, character in Tom Sawyer, I guess, you know, and he sold them on the idea. Especially, he said, guys that haven't played in the snow, it's going to be the most fun you've ever had. This is the greatest thing. So here comes the USC team out. And that time it was a building somewhere way away from the stadium. So you have a long walk, and the hail's bouncing off their helmets. And they're like so excited. This is the greatest thing ever. Look at now the Washington State students were already in place. And every time the weather changed, they cheered. They thought, oh, man, we're going to kill them. There's no way they can play. USC scored twice in the first 2 minutes. That game was over so fast because USC just, you know, they ran a kickoff back, and then they, you know, I don't know how they got the second one, but they scored like twice in 2 minutes. And they wanted to play in difficult conditions, and they thought that would be great. And they turned it completely around on Washington State, which is what I think you have to do in games like that. You turn that around on them. You turn the pressure that all their fans are there, sellout crowd. Very well, I'm sure the last time we were there for a night game, those fans get really oiled up very well, and you just take advantage of that. And this team should do that, could do that, and you kind of try to put them in your rearview mirror fairly quickly. So that you get them out of that. What USC's done the last 2 weeks is allowed Texas to think we're going to beat these guys. You run those fourth down plays and you don't get it. You're at the goal line. You don't score. You give them hope. I don't think USC and this weekend they can give them hope. They've got to just put them away, squash them, and make them think. It's still USC. We're still Washington State. We're not gonna beat them.
All right, there you have it. A little history lesson from Dan with the question. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out USCfootball.com.